Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the award-winning show, Connecting with Kim, here on Tampa Bay Arts and Education Network. I am your host, Kim Droege. Thank you for joining us today because my mission every week is to bring you information that will help you live your best life in our corner of paradise. So I want you to go to my Facebook, my Instagram, and my X account, like and follow, and that way you can get all the information about the show, about my guests, and of course my on-air wardrobe from the Spring Boutique located at the corner of Swann and Henderson here in Tampa. You can also catch the audio of our show on Sun Radio 96.3 FM and on your favorite streaming platform Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 3:30 in the afternoon. So I am so excited. I've been wanting to have this lady on my show for such a long time, and it's finally happening, and I hope I'm not going to come off as a giggly groupie the whole time because she's like somebody you just want to emulate. I mean, she's just so wonderful. And so without further ado, I want to introduce you to Molly James, who is the CEO of the Metropolitan Ministries Foundation, which is the arm that is the endowment arm that ensures that Metropolitan Ministries and the great work that they do in our community and beyond will continue for years to come. Welcome, Molly, to Connecting with Kim.
Thank you, Kim. I'm so honored to be here and really appreciate your kind words.
Oh, it's really true. I mean, I followed you for a long time. We have a lot of mutual friends, and I'm just like, oh my God, this woman is so amazing, and all the great work you've done throughout your entire career, and now you're just, you know, I know at Metro Min and it's okay if we say that, right?
Yes, of
we
course.
abbreviate it. They're so excited to have you with them because you're such a force, and you're such a community leader in Tampa Bay and beyond.
Thank you. It's a special place to live, and Metmin is obviously a very special part of our community. I'm home. I'm where I belong. I've been there almost 5 years, and it's definitely a calling for those who give their time and energy there, for sure.
Well, we always start the Connecting with Kim show the same way. I always like my guests to share their life journey as much as they feel comfortable with, because you just never know when somebody listening or watching out there has shared something in common with you, and we want them to be sure to pay attention and stay with us for the rest of the show. So take it away.
Fantastic. So I was born in Austin, Texas, when it was a little college town, and grew up in the country. I had sort of an idyllic life with chickens and pigs and definitely pure country. And I ended up going to Emory University in Atlanta. And when my father drove me, and we were on I-20 and we came over the skyline and I saw the city, I burst into tears. I was terrified. I had no idea what Atlanta looked like. That was in the old days before you visited everywhere or had the internet, right? And there I met my college sweetheart, and we have been married for 32 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And so when we met, he said, there are two things you should know about me. I'm losing my hair, and I will only live in St. Petersburg, Florida. And I appreciated the full disclosure, and I thought I would change his mind and drag him back to Texas, and I also thought he was silly to say he was losing his hair. And here we are. He's been Mr. Clean since he was about 25, and we've lived here since 1994. So it's been a wonderful journey. We lived in the New York City before going to Charlottesville, Virginia, and then when we moved here is pretty much when I entered the nonprofit sector in 1997. So.
Well, I've had the pleasure of meeting your husband, and he is the most wonderful man, and I can see, I'm so happy for you, because that's quite an accomplishment these days, I think, to be married. I was married 41 plus years before my husband passed away, so I appreciate long marriages.
Yes.
So I want to start off, before we talk about the foundation and how they support Metro Min. So I had the opportunity when I first met Molly in person to tour the Metmin campus here in Tampa, and I have to say that when I must have said it 100 times while Molly was touring me around. I kept saying, I had no idea, I had no idea, I had no idea, and because you took me through everything, and I said to Molly, you need to start the I had no idea tour of Metro Min so that folks can truly appreciate what you are doing to help disadvantaged and homeless people here in Tampa Bay and beyond. So let's talk about the work of the foundation and how it relates to what Metro Min does.
Sure. So it's hard to believe Metropolitan Ministries has been around 51 years. We were started in 1972 by 13 downtown churches and have blossomed to today where we have 4 different locations, 2 in Pasco County, 1 in South St. Petersburg, and of course our original location in downtown Tampa. And the needs just get greater as our community grows, and it's a real privilege to help stabilize vulnerable families. The foundation was created about 10 years ago when our board of directors started asking, gosh, how will we know the ministries will always be here? What happens in the time of a pandemic, a global crisis, a natural disaster? And all of those things, when you think about it, have happened in recent years.
Yes.
And we have been blessed by really amazing individuals that have included the ministries in their wills. And when those gifts are realized, they are invested in a fund that grows over time. And that pot of blessings benefits Metropolitan Ministries. So every year we provide support back to support the mission of the ministries.
And before we went on air, you told us how much the foundation will support the ministries this year. We ought to share that.
We do. It is very much worth celebrating. It's a real milestone that the foundation this year will give $1 million back to Metropolitan Ministries.
Amazing, amazing. Because that just demonstrates, number one, the quality of the endowment to start with, of the folks that are contributing, and then the investment that you take that money and invest it, and that money grows, and the fact that it's growing to the point where you can give Metro Min $1 million this year. That's amazing.
It is. We are both 4-star rated charities by Charity Navigator, and it's really indicative of the care and compassion that this community has for our clients, because they're the ones that help build the foundation. And without their care and naming the ministries in their plans, it wouldn't be possible to make sure we'll always be here.
Well, when you toured the campus here in downtown Tampa, so we should sort of step people through what is on that campus in downtown Tampa, what is encompassed in all of those buildings, and across the school, across the street. I want to talk about that. So can we just kind of step through that a little bit?
Sure, of course. So our campus is shelter for 100 families at any time. So we have families with children, a lot of single moms that have fled domestic violence, and typically around 250 to 300 children at all times. And you saw how beautiful it is. Our mission to alleviate suffering, promote dignity, and instill self-sufficiency, I think really shines at our campus because it's beautiful, and we pride ourselves on ensuring everyone that lives there feels dignified and not ashamed. So we have a counseling and resiliency center where families, children, and their parents can receive mental health services. We have a chapel with a full-time spiritual care director for anyone that wants spiritual counseling. You saw our kitchen, which is a whole other arm of our work. We have a culinary school, and that kitchen feeds not only our families and residents, but also 3,500 folks in our community every single day. So our meal site partners come to that campus, pick up the meals, and deliver them to their respective locations to feed the hungry all over our region. We have a beautiful preschool, Promised Land, where our littles go, so birth through pre-K. And then you saw the Patricia Sullivan Elementary School, which is a Hillsborough County award-winning, it's an A school, A-rated school for our elementary age students. So they literally walk across the street and are able to attend school every day. When the bell rings and they get released, they cross back over to the street and go to create which to me is really the ministry's secret sauce. That is where our trauma-informed counselors work with our children every single day to help them overcome the trauma they've experienced from living as a homeless child.
I have to say that when I stepped into the campus, and it's protected. We should say that it's protected. You have to be invited in, and then as we progress through the campus, you had to have access either via a key or whatever. There was a lot going on there that day. I remember we had the astronaut in. Remember?
Yes.
Because there was like a gym, like an activity room. I remember that. So maybe folks, you can start to understand, as Molly has described the campus, why I kept saying through the whole tour, I had no idea, because you really don't until, and it's beautiful, like the children's playground that was there. I was blown away. That was so gorgeous.
I know, it's hard to describe it all in a show, right? Because across the street we have our thrift store, which is one of our social enterprises. We have our drive-through donation center where people donate their gently used clothing and furniture all day long. It's kind of astounding when you think how far we've come from our little soup kitchen.
And the culinary school and the catering that you do, for other things, and the meals that you provide. And then there's the store where people can come in, and then they can shop for things in the store. They can shop for clothing. They can shop for all kinds of things. The resident families that live there. You're right. I can't describe it all. You have to see it, and that's why I think there should be I can't believe it, tour. I had no idea, because when people can see, touch, and feel what you do, and realize the impact that it makes in the community, I think that asking them for their donations from their hard-earned savings, I think it's real. They can relate it. They can say, yes, this is where my money is going, and it's going to something fundamental and important.
Thank you. It is really a pleasure to show people around. And I think what's even crazier is that that's one piece in a whole pie.
Right.
Our campus is one aspect of our work. We have an affordable housing complex near Brandon. We have an entire mobile outreach and stabilization team that works with families prior to them being evicted, so that hopefully we can keep them from entering that cycle of homelessness and really stabilize them while they're already safely housed. So there's just so many different things going on. Of course, our holiday tents, which is why I'm wearing red. I'm in the Christmas spirit, because this is when we give hope for the holidays. This year it will be for 30,000 families. So it's really a great time.
And you have, as you mentioned, the locations in other counties. So people may not know that, so we ought to talk about what's there.
Sure. So the easiest thing to do is to go to our website if you're referring specifically to the holidays, because we have 12 different holiday sites. So families who need help are already registering for that help, and they're able to come to one of 12 locations. Our biggest one is in West Tampa, and then we have another very meaningful one in Pasco County with Generations Church. And those sites are open at different times, so we kind of stagger and make it available to families, and they come in. They're able to choose what they'd like for their holiday meal, including a fresh ham or turkey. And when they come back for Christmas time, they're able to choose toys for their children. And there's just so much gratitude in those families who have fallen on really, really hard times. You think about 30,000 people, that's 30,000 stories of hardship. And it is hard to believe some of the things that fall upon one family at a given time that put them back into a place of where they need help.
And this year, I think, in particular, I think we've seen since the pandemic, unfortunately, I think we've seen that increasing. The amount of families that need help find themselves in a situation where they could become homeless very easily. And I don't know, I mean, is that what your statistics are bearing out?
Absolutely. It's really awful right now, Kim. We've seen a 71% increase over last year from families seeking assistance. And it has to do with crazy rent costs, just really skyrocketing rent, inflation in general, food, utilities. It's squeezing out those working poor families.
It's really, it breaks my heart in the richest country in the world that we should be having these kind of problems. And I mean, when you hear your own friends, and I know you've heard your own friends, because I've heard my friends complaining about their electric bill and this and that and I don't know what, and then I think about, well, you still have the resources to be able to cover that, right? Think about those people out there, they can't cover it.
Right.
They don't have those resources.
And
So
that now includes 15% more seniors too. That's a newer trend that we expect to continue to see as Florida ages, is more and more seniors having to choose between their own health care or a meal for lunch. So we're definitely upping our support for them as well.
I've seen that in my own community. I live in South County and I live in an age-restricted community, and I've seen that for many years, that people don't understand that there is, you can save and you can invest and you can have Social Security and you get all these things, but medical technology has allowed a lot of these people to outlive their resources, and so they are making those hard decisions every day. I mean, Feeding Tampa Bay is involved with us on a regular basis, and Meals on Wheels and so on and so forth, trying to help these people make those tough decisions and get by.
Yes, it is heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking, and a lot of those people have lived very simply their whole lives. So to come to that last chapter and be struggling is really tough to see.
So tell me, how does, this time goes so fast, and so I should have reintroduced you as the guest, so I'll do it now. If you're just joining us now and connecting with Kim, my guest in the chair is Molly James, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Metropolitan Ministries Foundation, which is the endowment arm that will ensure the continued success and presence of Metropolitan Ministries in our Tampa Bay community. So tell me how you go about during the year raising the money.
A whole variety of ways. So the foundation is really about building relationships. Believe it or not, we have 280 people in our Legacy Society, people or couples who have said, the ministries are in my plans and I want to leave a legacy, pass down my values of faith and family to the next generation. So we celebrate that group once a year. And then the rest of the time for the foundation, we're really just having very personal conversations. We don't do a lot of en masse events. The ministries, on the other hand, which Tim Marks serves as CEO for Metropolitan Ministries, has 4 main fundraisers every year. We have the Tampa Bay Food Fight in January, which is for all of our job training. You mentioned our culinary school. A lot of people don't realize we also have a culinary program at the Tropicana in St. Petersburg. So we're placing folks in meaningful culinary positions on both sides of the bay, and the Food Fight celebrates that. And then every April we have Bridge Builders, which is our signature event. We've done it for years, and it's a downtown Tampa luncheon that always sells out. And then,
I was fortunate enough to attend, thanks to you.
Yeah.
And that room was filled with 1,000 people, basically. And they were all, I mean, it was amazing.
It's always very inspiring.
Yeah.
And the client stories definitely move everyone the most. And then every fall we have our Pasco Leadership Luncheon. So we have a shelter in Pasco County that is in Holiday. And currently it houses 24 families, but we're in the process of doubling the size of that campus to accommodate 48 families. and adding that secret sauce of childcare, of a small early learning center that will be available not only for our residents there in Pasco, but others from the community.
Oh, how great.
Yes.
Because the synergy and the helping other people in the community understand the needs is, I think that's got to be fantastic, right?
Absolutely. And you know, childcare is getting very difficult to find these days. It's very expensive. And so if a mom is trying to get back on her feet and she doesn't have a safe place to leave her babies,
She's not going to leave her babies, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't leave my babies and you wouldn't leave yours. So, I mean, why would we expect her to do it?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to add all these facilities to Pasco. Okay, and you were going to say something else. I feel like I interrupted you.
Was I? Let's see. I was going down the list of our events. So the first Friday in every December, we have our business breakfast. And this year, our breakfast will be on affordable housing, which is obviously very topical for our region. And we hold that breakfast in our signature tent near West Tampa. So we're seeing more and more opportunity and also need for affordable housing. I learned as a layperson in that space that when you see workforce housing, that's not necessarily going to help the working poor. That has a higher income level than the families we typically serve meet. So we're open to exploring possibilities there since we have Sable Place, our affordable housing project near Brandon.
I think affordable housing is one of those terms that means different things to different people. And unfortunately, it's very broad, and the devil is in the details. And you got to get right down to what you mean by workforce versus affordable versus, you know, for the kind of families you're talking about, because it's not the same thing.
It's very tedious. And quite honestly, I am no expert.
Yeah.
Which is why I love what I get to do, which is visit with really caring people who want to help the least of these.
And so is there a range of donations or endowments that people give to Metro Min Foundation? I mean, give me some feel for that.
So we see everything. It is amazing. I often say I'm seeing flowers bloom from seeds that were long ago planted. You will have donors that give very modestly throughout their lifetime through the mail that leave us a six-figure blessing. And we also have a handful of folks that are making gifts within their lifetime, pre-gifting their legacy, if you will, to have that joy and to witness the impact that they will make within their lifetime instead of waiting for that to be realized until they move on. So just last week, a family gifted us $2 million to create an endowment to ensure families are always empowered. What does that mean? That means job training, tuition. When you take certifications, those cost money. If you want to be a nurse, you need a stethoscope, you need scrubs, you need special shoes. So they wanted to make sure that there were as few obstacles as possible for those grown-ups trying to get in to be self-sufficient. And that endowment will enable that. So it's a real beautiful, beautiful opportunity we get to steward.
That's wonderful. Are you allowed to share the size of the assets under your endowment and under your control for investment?
Sure, it's on our 990, but currently that's just over 20 million. Actually, with the gift we just received, it'll be closer to 22 million. So we expect that to grow as we keep doing our work and building awareness for the foundation. It's a relatively new concept.
It is, and that's why I wanted to be sure that, you know, you came on and we discussed this, because a lot of people, there's many ways to give in the Tampa Bay area, but I believe that you give to something either that you have experienced directly and now you have an opportunity to give back, or that you have been involved with over the years and you just know that that's where you want to allocate some of your assets?
It's true. It's amazing some of the stories that we learn through our biggest donors. One of our own board members grew up basically orphaned and told the story of having to forage for food in a very urban town as a child, living alone on the streets basically. And he is self-made. He became one of the largest car dealers in the United States. He comes and volunteers in our kitchen almost every single day. And during COVID, he was at risk, and then he got sick, and he drove to our campus and he said, "Molly, can you meet me at my car? I have a check. I have volunteered in a soup kitchen or a homeless shelter." He's newer to the Tampa area for, I can't remember, it was like 30-something years, and he wanted to keep his streak alive, but he didn't want to get others sick or himself sick,
right.
So he gave a contribution that year, and a very generous one. And there are a lot of people like that want to pay it forward.
Oh, that is so wonderful. Well, we are out of time. I cannot believe how fast this has gone. I want to give you an opportunity. We're going to run a little bit over. I'm going to warn you guys right now. I want to give you an opportunity to look into that camera, that's your camera, and deliver any kind of message to the community that you want to.
I want to thank you for being hope for vulnerable families in crisis. We'd love to have you come serve at the holiday tent on any of our campuses. I hope you'll go to metromin.org and learn about all the different ways you can get involved. And God bless you.
Thank you, Molly, for being my guest today on Connecting with Kim. You have to come back because we just didn't cover enough.
I know, this was so fun.
But I'm so thrilled that you finally came. So thank you for joining us today on Connecting with Kim. I want to give a shout out to my sponsor before we go, the Spring of Tampa Bay. They provide my on-air wardrobe from the Spring Boutique located at Swann and Henderson here in Tampa. And the thrift store and the boutique net proceeds support their mission, which is safe spaces and empowering services for survivors of domestic violence and their children. And they've been doing a great job at it since the 1970s, and I want you to continue to support their mission because it's an important one. So that's all we have time for today. Come back next week when we have another great edition of Connecting with Kim, helping you live your best life in our corner of paradise. Bye.